All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another day, another dollar. So, I recently woke up. I was feeling sad and depressed. I had nothing to do. And there's some changes coming, which I've already talked about on this channel, but I'll talk about them again in an opinion video because I was thinking, like, I already gave my opinion on this topic, but I could combine this with another topic. So, the picture obviously has nothing to do with the topic. It was just a nice capybara photo I found of Hatsune Miku, which I didn't think existed, but it did. But anyway, the topic that I want to give my opinion on today is my upcoming job, as well as just Manhattan and New York in general. So, I'll give a little spoiler. It's not too good. So I'm gonna have to give a little background here, but we'll get through that. So first, let's go through the job though. From the last video I made, which is the Chris Allen recap of me getting the job and me being busy, that hasn't changed. But I've learned more about the job since then, and I kind of have some opinions on it. Now, I have opinions on jobs in general. I think jobs are basically, like, really, really dumb. Now, excuse me. Now, this is coming from, because I know some people are gonna have a problem with this. This is coming from a white man who's, decently, he's not bad off. I'm pretty, like, okay where I'm at right now, despite not having a job. I'm educated. I'd like to say well educated. I did go to college. And I'm a white cis male. That may anger some people, I know. But regardless, I've done my fair share of some work. I haven't worked like an animal like most people do in America. And I'm not saying that as a disrespect. I'm saying that with the most respect possible. I don't think I could do what most other people can do. As in hunker down, really just dig your feet into the ground and just work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in a really fucking shitty, like, customer service job. I mean, I'm gonna be doing that now, but we'll see if I can handle it. That's another story. But in general, right? Just over the years, obviously way back in the day, way back in history, when children worked in factories, that was probably the worst point we had because the work days were like, what, 10, 12 hours? There was no safety or protection laws, barely any, like, benefits or lunch. Like, it was just shitty, right? Like, even kids working, kids were dying, no one gave a shit except probably the parents because everyone was making money and they're like, okay, glorious revolution. I was about to say evolution. Glorious revolution, factory, pump shit out, money, money, money. Cool. Now, we're probably in a better spot, although I still think we have a long way to go. So, just the thought of the 8-hour workday in general puts me off, because for most people, at least in New York, because New York is shitty, we have to travel, I would say, on average, at least about an hour to and from work. So already 2 hours of our day is taken up by work. Then put in the 8 hours plus any lunchtime you get, which in my specific scenario, which is what I'm giving my opinion on, is an hour. So you work for 8 hours, you have lunch for 9, you travel for 2. That's about 11 hours. That's almost half the day gone to work, right? You need, at least what doctors say, is 8 hours of sleep. So the rest of the day, you have 13 hours in the day. 8 minus 13 is 5 hours. You have 5 hours to do what you want on your own. That includes getting food, doing any business you need to do, and then relaxing. Now, for me, I like to exercise. I like to cook my own food and not like to eat like an unhealthy bitch, even though that's what I do anyway. And that usually takes anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. So we'll just say on the normal end, we'll lowball it. We'll say 2 hours. So exercising and food are not things that I particularly take pleasure in, although I believe they are needed. I believe everyone should exercise at least some amount every day to stay healthy, and just it has so much long-term benefit. But that's a whole different opinion video. So, in my day, obviously I have to make food, but I also have to exercise, so we'll say 2 hours. So 5 hours, take that out 2 hours. So any business or fun I want to have is then relegated to the last 3 hours of my day, which isn't that much time. Now, obviously, people could say, oh, just get a part-time job, do this, do that. True, that is very true, but number one, this is New York and people don't hire for shit. It's really hard to get a job. And number two, I'm a fuck who has no skills. So I kind of got to take what I could really get most of the time, unless it's really bad. So, where does my job fit into all this? Because this is just any job right now. This isn't specific to my job. Now, I'm a little scared saying this, because if any, like, boss person or stuff finds this, please, no, I don't mean any disrespect. It's just my opinion. I'll still do the job good if I'm still in there, and if they somehow find us. But anyway, the one thing I don't understand, which maybe it might get dealt with in the future, is just how people can pay so low for things, and things, at least in New York, can be so expensive. There's actually, like, a really big thought in my mind that some places are actually just made for rich people, and poor people should not be allowed to live there. Obviously, that sounds really wrong, but it's basically like that in reality already. I mean, look at Manhattan. If you live in Manhattan, you know how many homeless people there are. And you know, if you don't have a good paying job or rent with a roommate and then still have, like, a second job on the side or something, or your parents aren't wealthy, you know, off a minimum wage job or anything even close to that, it's not a livable wage. The fact that minimum wage is not a minimum, or is not a livable wage no matter where you go, is kind of disgusting to me. Because minimum wage jobs are the most prevalent jobs, and they're the most, in my opinion, kind of needed, because that makes up the majority of the workforce. A CEO, how many CEOs are there in America? Way less than there are minimum wage workers. If all the minimum wage workers disappeared, America will come to a grinding halt. If all the CEOs disappeared, yeah, there might be some turmoil, but the companies could still work. Like, let's be honest here. They would just find a new one, or, like, it wouldn't immediately all crumble to the ground. The company could still function, at least for a little bit, autonomously. Now, aside from the time being stupid, which, you know, you kind of just have to swallow. If you need money, you kind of just have to swallow, like, okay, I'm going to be working for most of my day. I'm just going to be, like, an indentured servant that has almost no fun. Because most people, including myself, get jobs they don't care about, or, you know, don't really like, or doesn't fulfill them. It's very rare that you find that job. But in general, the part that I'm getting a little upset at, right, is how much are you expecting from me if you're paying me something I can't live off of salary-wise, right? Now, me personally, thankfully, I'm not like other people. I'm a bit of an anomaly, and I can get by with very little money. I do not need a lot of money to do what I need to do. So, even my part-time job, as long as I can, like, get paid rent from my house, then, like, I can live. I can save up, I can live. It's not going to be a lot. I might save, like, maybe $3,000 a year, but even with a part-time job, I have, like, livable income. A full-time job, I can save more. Not a lot, but more. So, it's not like I'm in a terrible position, but the main problem I have is if I didn't have this house, which most people in America and New York don't, this thing is not a livable wage. So, if you are expected to do a lot of stuff, which this is the only caveat to this whole thing that I'm saying, is like, I don't know yet, but we'll get into that. It's like, how are you expecting this level of a bar, like this high of a bar, which is pretty high, when you're paying me this low? Now, the only difference is, this is what I'm thinking for the job, right? For those of you who don't know, maybe, like, you know, obviously, maybe people don't watch me. My job is going to be a mailroom clerk. I'm making this big fuss over a mailroom clerk. But just look at this, right? My job is a mailroom clerk. So, in my opinion, that's an entry-level, low-level position, you know. You could kind of get a monkey to do it sometimes, depending on who you work with and how heavy the job is. How work-heavy it is. So, but in general, mailroom jobs are kind of, you know, on the lower end of the ladder. Now, I'm getting paid $16 an hour. Full-time, which isn't bad. It's more than my part-time job I had before. But they're expecting me to wear a suit, dress shoes, and gloves working in a mailroom. Now, I've never worked in a mailroom. I have an idea of what it's like. And my idea is that it's decently easy because I've seen other mail people in my previous jobs and they didn't really work a lot either. But you never know because this is in Midtown Manhattan and Midtown Manhattan gets very busy. So you never know. Now, my assumption is it's not going to be too busy, but I could be wrong. But assuming it's not too busy, my initial thought and opinion is that this job is easy. They just want me to look good because I'm in Manhattan. But aside from that, the job is going to be fine. I'm just upset that I have to wear a whole uniform and get paid $16 an hour. But they pay for my dry cleaning, so that's good. So, you know, that's kind of like a we'll see thing. If it's a lot of work and if the job is hard, and I have to wear a suit and everything while picking up up to 40 pounds of mail in dress shoes. It's like, why am I getting paid 16 an hour when like a job that you have to dress up this well for should be giving you, like, in my opinion, at least 20? That's a little gripe I have. But anyway, regardless of that, this company also, I'm not going to name them for privacy's sake, even though I've probably said them before. This company says they value having a work-life balance. How the fuck you gonna give us a work-life balance if we're at the job for 9 hours? Now, granted, if I lived closer, this would be a little bit better, but not by much. I'd have maybe 5 or 6 hours to myself in my day, and again, barring exercise and making food, which, again, lowballing it is 2 hours. Usually it takes me around 3 to do everything, because I need to shower, too. So, lowballing it to 2, that leaves me, like, what? 4 hours to myself instead of 3? Like, I get an extra hour? Wow, cool. So it's like, I don't know. The whole thing of just minimum wage work, or work that doesn't pay you a lot in general, is fucking stupid, because you're wasting so much of your time, but it's needed. It's not like you're wasting your time in terms of you're not helping people. You're wasting in terms of what you're gaining, not what you're giving to others. You're giving valuable service to others. You're giving a service that's needed for people, but you're not getting a lot back. And most of your day is just gone, and you have to work like this for a long time to get any retirement benefits, so it's like, it's really shitty. My thing is just like, wow, it's really shitty. I mean, again, my hope is that this job is easy. If the job is easy, then I don't mind wearing the suit and gloves and dress pants and dress, like, shoes and a coat, which I don't know how I'm gonna not sweat in that thing, but, you know, that's a story for another day. And it's like, I don't know. How can you expect this much out of me if you're only giving me this little? It's just really backwards to me. But again, if the job is easy, I'll put up with it. And the guy said, too, because of COVID, my boss said, like, oh, yeah, like, we're not too busy and you're working with someone else. So hopefully the other person's cool and the job is not that hard and it's simple and I'm a monkey and I go in every day and do the same monkey shit and just live an unfulfilled, sad, lonely life and I eventually die. But anyway, that's my opinion on the job. You kind of got my opinions on New York a little bit, but I'll give my opinions now specifically on Manhattan. So, like I said before, Manhattan is fucking expensive. It is expensive, and I fucking hate it. I hate it not because of how it looks. It looks decent. Some buildings in Manhattan look kind of shitty, but overall, I would say Manhattan, aside from the general garbage everywhere and the homeless and the filth everywhere, I like the way it looks. You know, I like the big city. I like the skyscrapers. I would never want to live there, though. One, because it's expensive as shit. But let's say I was rich. Maybe I'd want to live there just for ease of access to stuff. But a big factor of why I hate Manhattan is the fucking people. Now, this is, again, barring the homeless, because the homeless are everywhere. And I feel bad for them, although some of them put themselves where they are. But, again, that could be a whole nother story. But I've made videos on the homeless. So, the people are such fucking assholes in Manhattan sometimes. If you really want to see the definition of capitalism, look at New York. And especially the lower you go into Manhattan, the worse it gets. People are so fucking, for the most part, there's obviously, like, people who aren't like this, but for the majority of people, they're such fucking assholes, stuck up, snobby, rich pieces of shit, only focused on money. They've basically lost their humanity, and it's disgusting. And the worst part is, I don't even blame them entirely, because that's how they have to live in order to survive in that place. Like, it's a fucking concrete jungle of madness. But I'll give you an example of what prompted me to say this, because I was remembering this right before I was making this video. I was like, you know, could I include, like, my opinion on Manhattan? And then I remembered this encounter that I had, and I was like, yes. And it's not even a big encounter, too. So, when I was in college, I had a music theory class that was really shitty, and that was my first class of the day. I believe it was when I was a sophomore in college. So, it was my second year in college. And I remember I would take the train all the way to Hunter College, and I would go there, and I was never late. Thankfully, I was never late, because I'm always punctual, or at least I try to be, right? This one day, the train decides to shit itself, as it usually does in New York City. And it's like, we are skipping 68th Street, Hunter College. Please go to another train or do whatever the fuck. And I'm like, wait, you're just gonna skip, like, my school? Like, what? So I had to get off at 86th Street. And at that time, I didn't know how to navigate the subways too well. Now I'm like a master of the subways. Now I know I could get off at 58th and then just go back up. But, yeah, I didn't know that back then. So I got off at 86th Street, and for those of you who don't know, any international viewers out there, but let's be real, I don't get any viewers. The streets of New York, the blocks are kind of long. Like, I once walked from 68th Street to 120th Street, and it took me like an hour and change. And I was like, God motherfucking damn. So that's like, what? 70 blocks? Or no, 60? Somewhere around there. 50? Maybe 50 blocks? The blocks are long. The blocks definitely take a while. So, mind you, this is like 15 minutes before class starts, because I was like, okay, if I'm at 86th Street, I have 15 minutes left. I'll be in class in the next 5 minutes, because if the train didn't skip the stop, the train stops right at Hunter. So I was like, okay, I'll get there right away. Doesn't stop there. It says it's skipping it. I'm like, fuck. I get off at 86, and I'm like, I didn't know the city too well yet, so I was like, fuck. Can anyone point me in the direction of Hunter College? Just tell me, like, where? Which direction do I run? Because at this point, I was going to be late, and I really didn't want to be late. Even though I was never late before, and being late in college doesn't really matter. So, I had to do something I was very not comfortable with. Even now, I'm not comfortable with it. And that was to ask someone for directions. Because I don't know why I didn't use my phone. I was like, I just have no time. I just have to book it. So I went up there, and I tried to ask people for directions. And the amount of times people flat out ignored me. And I can understand ignoring the homeless. Everyone does that. I feel bad for it, but it's what people do. But people ignored me. I was like I was kind of homeless looking, but I had a book bag and glasses, and it was obvious I was a college student. And I was trying to ask people like, oh, excuse me, can you please tell me where 68th Street is? Which direction is 68th Street? And mad fucking people ignored me. Oh my god. I was like, these people are so fucking weird. Like, they would legit try and dodge me because they were either on their phone doing business or they just want to ignore me to get where they were going. Like, people don't help for shit. Now, obviously, eventually I probably would have come across someone nice, but I didn't have time, so I was like, fuck it. I'm going to assume it's this direction, and I'm going to run, and thankfully I was right, and that was the day I really learned how to navigate the city. But I was like, god damn, people legit just are fucking just meant to, like, ignore you, and are just focused on their, like, own things. Which, again, no fault to them, you kind of have to be that way, but at least in Manhattan. But it's like, damn, people are really assholes in Manhattan, and that's the one reason above, like, a lot of things why I really dislike it. Maybe if you look good or if you're rich, you get treated differently. Well, of course you probably do. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm a big believer of, like, at least a bare level of respect for all, unless they wrong you. And it's like, I was really disgusted by the people there. Like, these people, if they ever need help, I hope they get dealt the same thing now. Fucking assholes. But anyway, yeah, New York is shitty. I mean, the other ways New York is shitty, aside from just Manhattan, is we can't do a lot of crypto and, like, super, like, new investing stuff because New York doesn't know how to tax it. And then if they don't know how to take money from us, if we do it, we're just not allowed to do it. Because God forbid we have something that's considered livable in terms of money wealth. So, yeah, that's just another example. I could go on and on, but the video's kind of going a little long now. So that's basically my opinion on my job in Manhattan. And to summarize, Manhattan fucking sucks. I hate Manhattan. Looks pretty sometimes. I enjoy how everything is close together and you could navigate it pretty easily. At least once you learn it. But I just hate the fucking people. The people are assholes. It's a dump. There's trash everywhere. Some things look nice, but pretty much it's like, it's whatever. It's half and half. The job, I told my opinions on jobs in general. It's like, I just think minimum wage sucks. At least it should be minimum, like, wage that's livable, not just a minimum that doesn't make sense. And I just feel bad for all the workers that have to just slave it out, man. It really sucks. And this job specifically, I don't know why they're expecting so much of me for so little, but again, either the job is really easy and they're just doing this for, like, the bells and whistles of, like, yeah, you know, we look professional even though we're not doing a lot, or it's a really good job with really good benefits and I eventually get pay raises that actually equal to the amount of effort I'm putting into the look. Because for a minimum wage job, you should look like whatever the fuck you want, honestly. Maybe have, like, a little uniform, but not a full-on, like, dress suit and everything for minimum wage. Like, that is ridiculous. For that, I could just go work at fucking McDonald's or something and wear whatever the fuck I want. Well, actually, I have to wear their uniform. But their uniform is way more comfortable than a suit. It's just ridiculous. I hate it. But yeah, I mean, that's my opinions. Maybe it's just me complaining more than usual, but, I mean, hey, it's out there. So, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the capybara Miku that I found here. And, yeah, I'm out. I might actually do, now since no one's in the house, a very rare and special pasta tutorial. Because I have no clue what to play, I'm kind of burnt out on gaming and nothing's out for me to grind, really. I'm, like, thinking, like, damn, what other videos could I do? Which includes this and potentially a pasta how to cook. But we'll see. But anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed. That's it. Bye. I'm out of here. Yee!